Good morning, my beautiful friends. This is your wake up call with Maui Paul. I am Maui Paul. We are here today to say some nice things about ourselves. And wonderful to see you guys here this morning. Good morning, Lauren. Good morning, Armando. Good morning, Jan. Good to see you guys here. A nice day, sure is a nice day to be snuggled up, Jan. You have made a good choice. Anyway, we are here today to say some nice things about ourselves. And what we're going to do is the same thing we do every morning, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Well, I'm going to pull a card off the top of my deck. I'm going to ask you if you are the affirmation on the card, and we are going to respond out loud together. I am that affirmation. As we do that, we are building into our own lives. We are changing up our experience. We are reminding ourselves of the truth of who we are. So let's have some fun today. Let's pull a card and say that today I am brave. I am brave. I face adversity with maturity. So I am brave. I face adversity with maturity. Are you brave? You are brave. You face adversity with maturity. I'm going to write that down in the comments. I encourage you to do the same exact thing because as we write this stuff down, we make it more real for us. So I am brave and I face adversity with maturity. Ultimately, bravery is not the absence of fear. Bravery is acting in spite of fear, is acting because the reasons to act outweigh the fear of inaction. And if I'm honest with myself, whenever I've stopped myself from doing something because I was afraid, I I was still making a decision. I was still making an action. I was still making a choice. Just because I didn't face the thing doesn't mean that or because I allowed fear to stop me, doesn't mean that the bad consequence didn't happen. The bad consequence often happened anyways, whether I said yes or no to it. And so bravery is about understanding that even when we are afraid, that we can still make the choice that's best for us. We face that adversity with maturity, and that maturity comes from facing that adversity, from being an adult about it and saying, okay, well, even though this isn't what I want, even though I'm scared to do this, I'm still going to do it because doing it is going to grow me. It is going to evolve me. It is going to be the right thing to do. It is going to prevent an even worse outcome. I remember that you know what one of the worst investments that I ever made. I probably lost 95% on this investment. But anyway, one of the worst investments I ever made. I had invested in this little company, and I was just kind of like looking at their growth, and I figured that they would be a really good a company to invest in. And so I put not a lot of money, but sizable for me at the time. And about like 2 weeks after I invested in this company, through no fault of my own, and certainly no fault of the company, the CEO of the company died in a plane crash. And so, I mean, everybody just dumped this stock. And I remember that the stock had gone down about 20%. And I was like, well, I don't want to lose 20% of my investment. So I was scared to make that choice. I was scared to make the choice of just like divesting myself of this thing, even though the company's CEO had passed away. And so instead of just doing this, instead of just being like, well, you know what, stuff happens in life, and you can't control everything, and it's time for me to go find more fertile pastures. Instead of doing that, I waited. I was like, well, things will get better. The company will continue. The company think things will get better with this company, and so I'm just going to wait it out because I was scared. I was scared. I was not mature enough to just realize that I was in a bad situation and the best thing I could do was cut my losses. And so I didn't cut my losses and I continued to experience them until eventually I probably had lost about 90% of that initial investment that I had made. And in the end, when I looked back at that situation, and this is a lesson that I've taken with me from through all investments that I've made in the future, but in the end, when I look back at that, I realized that it was my own fear was stopping me. It was me not facing something, not facing the possibility that I could have been wrong about something. even though there was really nothing wrong with the stock. There was nothing wrong with the company. But when the company owner die or the company founder dies in a plane crash, then the company lost its vision. It lost its it lost its motivation to continue going. That company is still hobbling along at probably about 5 to 10% of the size that it was originally. And in the end, I eventually did sell my position in it for a tremendous loss. But the fact is that had I just been brave about it at the beginning, had I just faced that adversity with maturity and said, okay, I can't control this, but sometimes you just got to eat a shit sandwich and move along. If I had just done that, I would have been much better off. Failure to make a choice is a choice. Inaction is an action. And so nowadays, when something happens that is taking me, that is not the way that I want it to be, that is taking me outside of my own comfort zone, that is, that forces me or compels me to make a choice that I don't necessarily want to make, or that it is not the result that I had hoped for, I am a lot faster to make that choice because that bad investment that I made, that thing really it resounds through my head to this day. And the fact is that it didn't have to be a lose 90% kind of an investment. It could have been a lose 20% kind of an investment had I just faced that adversity with maturity and said, okay, something happened that's outside my control. Can't do anything about this. Time to divest and move on. And I would have lost 20% and not 90%. So I am brave, and I face adversity with maturity. This card actually goes out to Pepper. I'm heading over to the dentist with her today. A lot of people are afraid of the dentist, and so as we go and out there and do that together, the fact is that bravery is an important aspect of our lives. So I am brave today, and you are brave too. And consider the last time that you had some adversity in your life and you had to face it like an adult. You had to be like, okay, well, that didn't turn out the way I wanted it to, or hey, circumstances have spiraled out of control, and so now it's time for me now it's time for me to have that have an honest conversation with myself, or perhaps an honest conversation with somebody else that I don't actually want to have. But in the end, that this is what makes us an adult. So we are brave today. We face adversity with maturity, and there are lots and lots of ways in which we need to be brave. On Friday of last week, I actually launched Sales Hub HQ out in there into the world. I'm looking at the tab right now in my browser, right next to the wake up call, and it took a lot of bravery for me to hit that button to go live, because it's easy to build something before it is subject to scrutiny. But once we put it out there into the world, we get to know for sure if it's going to work or not, what needs to be changed. The flaws of anything that we put out into the world are going to be made manifest. They are going to be pointed out to us by others. And so it took some bravery for me to do it. I remember I was about to hit the go live button on payments and let my business partners know that it was time to start marketing. And I just remember feeling this fear inside of myself. I was like, why am I afraid of this? I'm confident in what I've created. It's a really awesome thing. I'm confident in the fact that it works. But it's kind of scary to be, putting a payment processor live and to be, just putting it out there on the internet and just being confident that the systems that I put in place in the back end weren't going to, accidentally be charging people's credit cards more than they should, or that they would actually be getting the thing that I'm advertising, the thing that they're buying. So it took some, it took me a little while to really understand why that fear popped up. But once I did, I realized that okay, fine, there might be something adverse that happens, but I'm mature enough to deal with it. If there's any mistake in my coding or something like that, if there's any error, if there's any mess up, it's fine. I will figure out how to deal with it. During beta testing, we had plenty of things that messed up, and I just dealt with them, including things that involved other people's credit cards, and I just dealt with them. And so, and then we fixed that stuff. That's why we had beta testing. And when I looked at it logically, I was like, okay, there's some fear holding me back from doing this thing because it's potential to go wrong. But nothing has actually gone wrong. It just has the potential to go wrong. Well, you know what? It also has the potential to go right. And so whenever we are facing that adversity and we are focused on the things that could go wrong, let's remember that things could also go right, and most things in life do go right. So I am brave, and you are brave today as well, and we face adversity with maturity. So lots and lots of stuff going on in my life right now that is causing me to grow, which is making me have to be more brave. And so I will, continue to face those things with maturity. I want to say thank you guys so much for being here, for being on the wake up call. I always love it when I see that the wake up call's been shared. So thank you so much to those of you who share it. Please show the algorithm that this call is worthy of spreading, that this message is worthy of spreading. And I will talk to you guys tomorrow at 9 a.m. And we will continue to go through the cards for the week. But for now, this is a daily reminder that I love you, that I care about you, and I think that you're amazing, and that I appreciate you guys for being here on the call. So I'll talk to you guys tomorrow at 9 a.m. Until then, aloha from paradise.